Well, hello everybody. So good to see everyone as we get here going live. At least that's what it says. So I got it. You got it. Welcome everyone. How you been? Been about 2 weeks and yeah, a little tanner and a lot more how shall we say muscles have gotten worked out. So definitely have the strength of the stamina. That's what it's going on. But how are y'all doing? Haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, so I trust you're doing well. Hello, everyone in the chat room. Happy birthday, Miss Nina. 55, is that right? You know, it took me growing older to find my youth. The thing is, we never grow out of our youth. We're eternal beings. At least that's how I perceive it. And age is an illusion, is an experience to go through these bodies, but it's not really us. It's our bodies. We're going to talk a little bit more about that dualism. Going to get really deep into substance because, the thing about, when you're doing physical labor, and holy crap, I don't know, it seemed harder this time. The hardest job, and let me just say, I'm speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. You think I forget that? No way, man. Every time I speak favor over all of us, I'm like that Johnny Appleseed, man. I'm just throwing the seeds out there. True, very true. But as you have this opportunity, a lot of meditating time. I mean, the work, it's physical, but, for instance, if, you're clearing out property, pretty much what's going to happen to do. If you're having to do, some rehab work on a building, once you get it down, uh, painting, painting's one of those things that you have a lot of time just to think, contemplate, ponder. And I love it. You know, the weather couldn't have been better. It was, I mean, you get this great tan, you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, baby, just rain it all over me. So you just get a chance to think a lot and had a lot to do with that. So we're going to get into that substance. We're going to talk about that more. So hello, Kaz. Much love to you there. Tyberry, what's up? Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Ruby, what's up, girl? Deborah, hello, Bernadette. Manifesting Annie. I like that. That is a great handle. That reminds me of a song, Avenging Angie. Anyway, I digress. Shirley, what's up, girl? Xander, hello. And again, happy birthday, Nina. We are eternal beings. We don't age. Our bodies do, but again, we're always, I don't even know if you could say we're really young. We're just in a constant state of transition. Anyway, Gogo, all the way from Croatia. How are you? Good to see you, my friend. Linda Espinoza, missed you as well. Robert Cantu, what's up? Good to see you. Renee, hello, my dear. Trina, going to be with you tomorrow. And Miss Jenny, missed y'all. Yeah, and I still got work to do. The project I'm just now waiting on is for lumber, and so like Thursday, probably Friday, I may not be here. And then I may come on earlier. I don't know. But anyway, you got to take care of the work when you got to take care of it. You know what I mean? So Lost in Space, what's up? Good to see you, Jargo. Off the Hook, what's up? Good to see you. I missed all of you. John, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Emperor Rex, hello, hello, hello. So, wow. World's changed. It's freaking weird. It truly is. I mean, it's one of the things I found was, because we're out here in the country, and I mean, you got insects, you got things crawling, and You got this host, this menagerie of life, birds, deer, um, turkeys. It's all about. And here you are immersed into this, and you're away from all this. Technology is a trap. It really is. It lures us in by saying, I can give you anything you can think of. Just ask me. And we fall for it. I mean, we're all guilty of this. No one of us are above it. And when you have these moments of separation from it, and particularly those type of jobs where you're outside, construction, myriad of other type of jobs out there, and you're out there in nature, it's refreshing. It's what it really is you're in awe, because I see this and I thought to myself, am I a part of their reality? How do they perceive this, me? Yeah. I mean, we think that we have the dominant intelligence, but yet there's an intelligence. It's right there. Now you can say, well, that's God. I don't think so. You know, I think there is something that's above God. I'm convinced of it. Call it a supreme force. I don't know. But I witness this, and there are times when I immerse myself into it, and when it's just the sounds of this, I don't know what you want to call it. It's alive. It expresses itself in so many different ways and levels. And yet, as I sit there, I realize that I am both the observer and the experiencer. And when I look at this corporeal form that I have, because the only way that I can experience what the 5 tactile senses tells us is reality, you see this, and you see it in so many different ways. There was at one point I was just overwhelmed. You know, we go about our daily business and our routines, and so many, because of just the way life is. And if you're heavily involved in technology, you know, where you spend a lot of time and watching videos, someone like me that comes on in this, you know, for an hour. But then you begin to contemplate, you know, so what makes all of this possible? I mean, something is binding, in a sense, all of this. We have this privilege of being able to have the sensory of 5 different aspects, and then we begin to see it unfold right before us. And it's all around. Yeah, it's awesome. So anyway, hey Gaia. See, yeah, nature is my world. Yes. Grace, how are you? Without her nature, we don't exist. It's so, and you know what I found? I found myself in moments of what I could say was pure gratitude. I mean, what a privilege just to even witness this, much less experience it. I mean, it's far out. And in the midst of all that, there's this greater agenda that's unfolding that really wants to dominate this. I thought about this at length as well. Why would anything, any consciousness, any thought want to dominate this? I mean, what kind of a mind is it that says, I want to, you never created this. This has been here from, it's epochs. Goes beyond our memory, our ability to even conceive the thought of where this and how long this has been here. But it is very apparent that something has tried repeatedly to dominate it, to make and lay claim to it. And you've got this not only in the thought realm, but you see it manifesting in this plethora of physical realms. I mean, right now, I could go out and I could go into to what we've just left as natural woods and find hundreds of different life forms. The trees themselves are a life form. And I can bet you they're not contemplating, why would some human, why would some form of government want to dominate all of this? To that ant, he would look at us and probably think that we're a fool. I'm sure that the ant realizes that within its matrix and its construct, you exist within this force, within this nature. You don't dominate it. There's nothing to be dominated. Because the one thing about substance in this realm is that all substance comes with a hidden code within it, which basically is a limited time to exist in this realm. Those are where my thoughts were at. And, so Rick, what's up? Yeah, it's interesting. It's that to me is spirituality. It's not this worship of an unseen deity, male or otherwise. It's not a construct of man's, how can we say, congealed thoughts of trying to figure out, why are we here? And what's the purpose? And really, what is the purpose? Thinking of that ant, I had a chance to see there's a lot of different type of ants. Got carpenter ants. They suck. But anyway, but yet the ants provide so much to the environment. Food. They definitely provide the food chain with not only what they produce by what they do, but themselves. There are birds out there that apparently just love ants. Have an insect today. You'll enjoy it all the way. But yet, I don't think that they sit here and go, well, I wonder how God would see this. What and the dominant thought in this region here is that, do you love Jesus? Have you found Jesus? Best line I've ever seen in a movie is Forrest Gump. Wasn't rightly sure I was supposed to be looking for him. Yeah, it's kind of the way I look at it. But nevertheless, because that enwraps the whole control mechanism. One thing I've noticed about nature is that it was not controlled by a religion, a belief, a spirituality. What I saw about nature is that it knows its exact place, its exact purpose, and immerses itself within the construct of knowing. But not us. Oh, no, 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 no. We are, oh, how shall we say, so much more complicit in our thoughts. Because after all, you don't want to die not being saved. Saved from what? I'm not sure. There are people, it's amazing that their whole basis of reality, and I was there. A lot of you were too. I can't help but not smile and think of, Jeffrey Doherty. I mean, and then there's so many others as well that have walked down this path. And it's quite amazing that we found the exit door. And the thing about it is, if you think about when you're in a theater type setting, you've got the main attraction, the main show going on with all the lights and the dazzling. That's what technology is. And that's what religion is. And that's what politics is. And there are many that are trying to find that exit, except the thing about it is you have to go through the darkness to find the exit. And the darkness can be scary. But nevertheless, if you persist and prevail, you find the exit. And then you get out into this other realm that you go, okay, now what do we do? And that's where the journey really begins in earnest. And look at this. I mean, in the United States right now, we're witnessing history. Now, history always is writing, but there are inflection points in history. A nation is much attuned to that of a living spirit. You got to have spirit, baby. 1776, that's the spirit. Yeah. And it's very interesting to see this unfolding. And there are forces that are very self-evident. But what amazes me is how we live in this duality of realities. There's one that influences us all to some degree. Now, it has many different forms and many different manifestations. I was one time heavily involved in politics. That's another monkey on your back, man. I mean, growing up on the street, I knew a couple of people who were really hooked on heroin. And it's amazing when I look back, the intuitiveness who was naturally a part of myself and many of you who grew up on the street, and whether you did or didn't, but for when you're on the street, the consequences are much more severe and much more quick to manifest. But your intuition. And I knew as that it was me. I mean, I was just a little more less experienced, but I knew it inherently had something to do with the spirit realm. And I look at this today, it's that same type of addiction. It's all about money. It's all about control. It's all about position. It's all about comfort. It's all about the luxury. It's like the status. And wow. I mean, I was out painting. And so I'm seeing this like unfold in my mind's eye, right? And as I'm painting, and it's quite revealing, because it's like the tilt-a-whirl, at the carnivals, amusement parks. Once you get into that beast, you know what happens when it starts spinning. That centrifugal force traps you in that space and time. We all should take a lesson by those who throws up. That's I never had that happen, but I have heard of other people that has happened. And now, as I'm more experienced, Nina, because next Monday is my birthday, is that I look at this and I go, why would I really want to do that? I understand the laws of physics here. I don't want to be an opposing force to an already existing force, because, and it's always the kid who had way too much cotton candy, who's already super hyped on the sugar, and blah, there it goes. But anyway, I digress. If you've got to strap in here, because, hey, Jerry, how are you doing? So the world has changed. In the last 2 weeks, and there are things afoot. There's just no doubt about it. And it brought me to the next subject, but I do want to bring out something. So we're going to take a little side journey, because the bus, it's in full automatic control. Did a little working on it. So when I lived in Colorado, which, Gilbert, I know it's beautiful there. Yeah. I mean, lived there for 2 decades, and it was mostly drought. It wasn't green when there were intervals of time when it was green, but boy, it's green the whole time there now. It's quite beautiful. But anyway, so, and I would say, when I found this feather, which is a red-tailed hawk, I guess it was about 6 months before we made a move in our lives. And it's interesting, when I read what the lore, the legend is, if you find a red-tailed feather hawk, number one, the angels, the spirits, are talking to you. Your guides are saying, well done, because it's a rarity to find, these type of birds, their feathers. And this feather, by the way, is of a mature, most likely male, but a mature bird. And if you find it, in the way it's positioned, it usually indicates that there is change coming to your life. Now, it's nothing ominous. It's nothing good. It's a positive thing. Change, really, in its essence, is a positive thing, because it establishes the fact that we're not stagnant. It's what I don't understand about the concept of demons and angels. If this is, I don't know how long this has been going on, but if it's been going on as long as what they say, then that mindset, that duality of thought, it's trapped in time, because there's no progression. There's no change. And apparently what it's here to design to change is not changing what it was designed to change. Yeah, you get it. So it's also a sign that spiritually you're on a right path. when the angels and even the divine ones, because yes, they have feathers as well, apparently. And angels aren't the only ones that have feathers, although if we go back to the time of the Council of Nicene, then we have to debate, well, when they were rewriting the script, the question came forth, well, how are we going to portray these things we have called angels? How do we write and portray this? Because it's a script, it's a spell. And check me out on this, fact check me on this one. When it came to whether an angel or demon has feathers, apparently, or not, because there's just as much that said they don't have feathers, but yet, depending on what book you believe, what version, feathers play a very big role. I mean, feathers play a huge role in the belief systems in Mesopotamia, Egyptian, Phoenician, Christian, yeah, Islam, Judaism. Feathers play a very important role. Big deal. Yeah, I know. It just kind of is extenuating. So we found ourselves here, and it was manifested. I mean, this is why what we're going to talk about here in the substance. Boy, time's going by quick, which it literally is. So yesterday, I walk out and I find awaiting me on right on our front porch, it's right on the ground, and I found this. Now, this is actually brown. Actually, it's reddish brown. This is a hawk's feather as well. This is a feather, by the way, as I have found out, that this feather is from an adolescent who is transitioning to maturity, adulthood. Legend says that if you find such of a feather of this is a really good omen. It signifies spiritually that the gate is open. I know it is. Speaking individually, I'm the one who found it, but it means that there's this gate that's opened, and the spirits are talking. So I'll be curious to see. It also signifies prosperity, protection. So anyway, there you go. Thought I'd share that out. Well, Gaia, then that is a good sign, dear. She says, I've been finding so many feathers. What type of birds are they, Gaia? I don't know what type of birds that you have up in the area. I'm sure hawks are up there as well as eagles. I'm sure of that, or at least I think. Birds of a feather flock together seems true. Paul, Joe, you'd be right. You'd be right. Fact. So, yeah. This time, I tell you, and when you look at what's really going on in this thing in our government, I keep touching it, but it has to be dealt with for us as citizens of the United States. I mean, the folks around here are pretty riled up, and I'm going, oh boy. Nina, what's up? Make a wand out of them. Well, I have something that I am going to be, I got this that Jenny is sending me, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right, Nina, yeah. What color are we? There's new in the, what color are we? I'm not sure, Gilbert. I think I'm dropping in a conversation. Go, what? Bernadette says, I'm finding feathers as well. Got an owl feather recently. Oh, you need to look that up, Bernadette, and see what that signifies. Hummingbird, turkey, woodpeckers. Oh, tangiers and hawks. Are the tangiers the red ones, Gaia? I mean, they're beautiful birds. Hey, Brenda, what's up? Red tails are a powerful totem. Yes, ma'am, Brenda, you got it. Street Mom, how you doing, darling? Good to see you. Man, it's like a family reunion here. It's like, all right. Yeah. Well, Street Mom, that sounds cool. And the spelling, I'm right there with you. I know that people say, well, would you stick to the point? I tell you, this is just a casual conversation. I mean, you know. So how are you enjoying the magnetic excursion? I mean, how's that? We're actually living in that. And now that apparently, if you should make Ben Davidson your morning, wake up and let's see what the solar system and the cosmos has to say, because our Earth is changing. We've had weather here that has just been, I mean, we had a powerful cold front move through, and the low humidity, it's really strange. And people here that have been here all of their lives are commenting that this is not normal. Yeah. But I have no doubt they'll eventually tie the magnetic excursion to the climate change. What gets me is that, when you look at the atmosphere and its rivers of currents of water, etc., it's magnetic. And with our magnetic poles, I mean, check me out on this. So we now know that magnetic south is no longer on Antarctica. Hell, it's out in the ocean now, and it's heading apparently for the Indian Ocean. And we now know that our North Pole is heading directly for Russia, because eventually the two of them are going to meet. And then the new pole will be right off of the continent of South America. We're living that. I mean, they can't hide it anymore, and they're not. They're just saying, hey, listen. I think Ben pointed out in the chart that was released. I don't know which agency released it, but last 25 years, them polls, man, I'm telling you, they're moving on out. So, yeah. So what else? Hey, Robert V, what's up? Is it called, John? Is it the South Atlantic anomaly? Is that what it is? But yeah, we're living it. I often wonder if this agenda that's going on. Again, why do humans do this? And I'm suspecting the north wind is blowing so hard out there right now. It's amazing. You have to have a sweatshirt. Here it is in the middle of June. But I often contemplate, and I do. So the humans that are behind this, pushing for this unilaterally of a one world government, following an agenda where there's no sovereignty, things that are completely foreign to my way of thinking. But I have to accept the very real possibility that I am not in the same physical realm I entered into for myself, will be 68 years. it's not the same world, man. Not even close. And I know that as you continue along the path and, to experience more days, it counts for something. I mean, if you're fortunate to be an alert, active, the energy is still in abundance, the age factor, you'll be much like Dick Van Dyke. Others of that where we don't think of 70 or 80 as really being old. It's a shame that that's how we perceive it. And what we got the shit end of the stick on that one, didn't we? I don't know. But then again, I wonder if we lived longer, would we screw up much quicker? I don't know. It seems something is amiss because there's an agenda unfolding. It's very clear, and I still don't get it. I mean, I don't get why we just can't live and love one another with respecting each person on an individual basis, but my individuality should not be imposed upon the greater individualities. I mean, there should be this buffer zone, At least that's, and there shouldn't be laws that would dictate what thought should be. That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. But it's here. Well, I was just reading that. So we actually have someone, Scott, there you go. Yeah. So here's the thing. And because I respect y'all's times. I mean, I really appreciate it. You tune in here. This is a great group. So something is manifesting. Now, Saturday, I had the most intense time of meditation. I have a place out on our deck where I sit, and it has this ideal angle at the sun. And I try to do it early in the morning when the sun is coming up. And the way that the sun hits it, it just draws you out. So I'm there, and I'm aware of the five senses. And then my mind lifts into a place. And on Saturday, I am back at my stand. I'm there quite frequently. And I started thinking about substance. Substance. It's important. I can't stress how freaking important it really is. But the vast majority of people do not understand substance. So to help us on this, I have, allow me to, so give me 1 second. There we go. I learned this from 50 years of Christianity, and I happen to be in what you would call more the mysticism sides of Christianity. We were the people who believed you can name it and claim it. But I will say this, my teachers were brilliant wizards. Some were priestess. Joyce Myers is one. I knew Joyce in her very early days. I know Paula White. I know a number of people that we had this same vein of thought. You can call it indoctrination, you can call it whatever it is. But particularly with Kenneth Hagin, I learned what faith is, how important faith is. I mean, faith is a substance. You see, a substance. And when it comes to manifesting, I was taught that substance is a tangible substance. I know I'm playing on words here, but I'm really not. And as I'm in this meditation, there is this essence, this substance. It's everywhere. It exists. There isn't any place, any thought, any realm that it doesn't exist, even in the darkness of any void, at substance. And in my case, I found myself once again, and Trina, you're going to love this. I literally pulled from this substance, this spear, and I was working my hands over it. And as I was staring into this spear, and it was formless. But as I began to give thought to it, and there was a specific thought from what I was thinking, it began to change colors. It began to glow. It began to get stronger. And what I found in this, you can call it a vision, you can call it whatever you want, but as I am working this sphere of substance, I am impressing upon it my essence. In this case, you could say my thoughts. And as I am impressing upon this substance, it begins to become more defined. It begins to actually expand. And as I continue to concentrate into it, eventually it lifts off and it goes up into this firmament, which is literally right above my head. And it immediately coalesces with a myriad of other such substances. And it's interesting because it coalesces and it finds what it begins to need. And from that, it returns back in manifesting in things in your life. Could be healing, a new job, new relationship, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not restricted. And if you want to get into the duality of good and evil, both require the same amount of concentration and power. And that's when you get people who begin to agree as one, as touching anything, whatever they say, whatever they bind, whatever they loose, shall be respected in the heavenly realms. Now, extract heaven from that and just simply put other realms in there, and you begin to see how things begin to manifest here. So I had a scripture that I knew by heart. I mean, I still know it. And in fact, I use it in my magic. And that's Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is, and get this, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith, calling those things that be not as though they are. Now, if you can get this and grab a hold of this, this is some of the most powerful magic I know of. This is not religion. This is not limited to a belief system. It is a key, because that's how it works. The same principle works here. It works in the other realms. And the thing about it is that fundamental aspect of faith. We all have it. You believe in something, and that belief is supported by the faith that you put into it. And if your faith is ever broken, you know it's very difficult for you to have faith in that thing ever again. That's how it works. So, having said that, I want to get over here and I want to talk about substance because this, folks, is really freaking cool. So let me pull this up and let's go right over here. So this is all right. So substance. All right. So this is from the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. It says many of the concepts analyzed by philosophers have their origins in ordinary or at least extra philosophical language. Perception, knowledge, causation, and mind would be example of this. But the concept of substance is essentially a philosophical term of art. It uses an ordinary language, tend to derive, often in a rather distorted way, from the philosophical senses. Such expressions as a person of substance or a substantial reason would be causes of this. Illegal substance is near to one of the philosophical uses, but not the main one. There is an ordinary concept in play when philosophers discuss substance, and this, as we shall see, in the concept of object or things when this is contrasted with properties or events. But such individual substances are never termed substances outside philosophy. Substance. Here's another one. Substances. Any material that possesses physical properties is called a substance. The word also refers to a gist or main idea of something. If you remember the main point of a lesson, you got the substance. So it says the meaning of the noun substance has evolved over time, yet it has always been related to something sound and solid. From the Latin root substare, which means to stand firm, to the Middle English definition as an essential nature. Nowadays, we use the word to define someone who possesses honesty and intelligence, or when we examine a message to find its essence. To be thought of a person of substance is a good thing, but to be thought of as a substance abuser is not. So let's get into this one. This is the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Dualism in mind. It says dualist in the philosophy of mind emphasizes the radical difference between mind and matter. They all deny that the mind is the same as the brain. That's all right there. We could have a talk on that one. Might do that tomorrow, Trina and Jenny. And some deny that the mind is wholly a product of the brain. So is your mind a part of your brain? Or is your brain part of your mind? It says this article explores the various ways that dualists attempt to explain this radical difference between the mental and physical world. A wide range of arguments for and against the various dualistic options are discussed. And here's the interesting thing. While I was off, I was found in this article was really interesting what neurologists and those who study the brain, particularly at death. It's a whole area of science behind this. And now because of our instruments, they're getting more, I don't know, expanding into new areas of technology that was not available even 10 years ago. What they're finding is that the brain, our brains, when you pass over and you make this transition, that there's an activity taking place now in the brain that was not known before. And apparently, at that moment of death, there is a part of our brain that becomes active. And they say that this can extend for extenuating minutes sometimes 12 or more minutes, where there's something going on in the brain. Body's dead. I mean, rigor is setting in, but there's something still going in. And we know that the brain, if it does not get the constant supply of the blood and oxygen, then it ain't going to be working right. Be interesting to see in the chat room or what the comments are as to what you think that's really taking place here. All right, so let's continue on this. It says substance dualists typically argue that the mind and the body are composed of different substances and that the mind is a thinking thing that lacks the usual attributes of physical objects: size, shape, location, solidity, motion, adherence to the laws of physics, and so on. Substance dualists fall into several camps depending on how they think mind and body are related. Interactionists believe that minds and bodies causally affect one another. Occasionalists and parallelists, generally motivated by a concern to preserve the integrity of physical science, deny this, ultimately attributing all apparent interactions to God. Well, hell, that answers it right there. I mean, it's God. Okay, sure. All right. Fundamentalists offer a compromise theory asserting that bodily events can have mental events as effects while denying that the reverse is true, avoiding any threat to the scientific law of conservation of energy, the fourth state of matter, at the expense of common sense notion that we act for reason. Property dualists argue that mental states are irreducibly attributes to brain states. For the property dualists, mental phenomena are non-physical properties of physical substance. Did you get that? Consciousness is perhaps the most widely recognized example of a non-physical property of physical substance. You getting this? There's going to be a test. Still, other dualists argue that mental states, depositions, and episodes are brain states, although the states cannot be conceptualized in exactly the same way without loss of meaning. Dualists commonly argue for the distinction of mind and matter by employing Lulebet's law of identity, according to which two things are identical if and only if they simultaneously share exactly the same qualities. The dualist then attempts to identify attributes of mind that are lacked by matter, such as privacy or intentionality, or vice versa, such as having a certain temperature or electrical charge. Well, let's see, is all thought generated by an electrical impulse? Is that what takes place in the spirit realm? Is there still this exchange of energy? I mean, here we can see a thought. We can see how it goes through there and hits the neurons, and synaptic pathways. So going on for this, because here's again, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now, if you take this for what it's saying, this is a huge secret. And most Christians just read right over that. They don't question this. But if we were to take this as alchemists, and I'll stop there, hear me out on this. Because this is what the true alchemist works with substances. So we take a belief which establishes a faith, or you can say that the faith establishes a belief, depending on what your dualistic views and points or perceptions are. But in any case, and by taking this substance, I went back and, I'm coming up close to the 5,000th episode that I've been doing on YouTube. First channel was back in 2012. But anyway, we talked about this. And when we did the egregore, still exists, it's still there. I still pay attention, and someone's keeping it busy. That was a collective thought experiment. We've done a number of them here. But if we take it up that level and realize that if we all could begin to work with the same substance, those of you who can master the spheres, I mean, it's so cool once you really get there. I mean, it's a far out experience. It's a mind trip, no doubt about it, but it is so freaking cool. And if you can imagine all of us in distinct different positions on this globe, working with the same substance, creating, energizing this substance, we're all focused in on the same thing. And you could see us all as kind of points of light that all impact this firmament. There is this, the best thing I can tell you, it's a covering. We're immersed in it. And if you can punch through it, you're free, baby. But anyway, since we're here of that, imagine what we can do. You see, this is what I'm convinced that political agendas are. I know. See, I was a part of one of the most conservative groups out there. And if you get into the center of how these groups work, which I did, from an alchemist point of view, you can call me a wizard, you can call me a magician, you can call me whatever you want. But it's interesting how people recognize this and how they use it in the background. And if you're a part of these groups, a political group, a religious group, doesn't matter. Social group, this is something that if you can learn to manipulate this substance, you'll be in the center of power. You'll be part of a power network. This is how it works. It's how a simple religion can start from the construct of a mad mind or any mind. Taking that substance, it's real. These bodies, these corporeal bodies, are merely manifestations of atoms that are cohesed together in a code and a formula of the same substance. It's what our spirits are, of a substance. It's what creates everything. Creation never stopped. It continues. It can't be creation as a single event. That would be finite. It never stops. And it's controlled by this substance. If you can grasp it and get a hold of it, if you're a practicing witch, practicing sorcerer, think about what I'm telling you. You're already using it. But if you can really begin to visualize it, some of you probably already are doing it. Whew. All right. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm just reading some of the comments. So anyway, Hope that I'll be there tomorrow with Miss Trina, and I am going to do Wednesday with JD and Nina. I think this applies into demonology. It's the same thing. It's this substance. I mean, if we say that we're individual personalities, then that means that substance can be imprinted upon in such a manner that we create a personification to that identity. So if we can do that, if that's how we came about, holy shit. That's all I got to say. Good. I'm glad, Nina, that JS, you have to remind me on that one, Nina. Send me the link on that. So anyway, thank you all. I appreciate y'all. I really do. It's probably my only answer how to counter this. And there's an agenda, nefarious, evil. I don't know. My wife and I had this wonderful discussion about evil. I mean, evil is just merely a definition of a side that you've chosen to define as evil. There's so many examples of that. Religion is one. Many different religious beliefs where one believes is a religion, it's totally offensive and evil to the other. So what is evil? I mean, is evil a force? If it's a force, then it means that we're a victim. I don't know. Kind of interesting, isn't it? All right. So, yeah, thanks. I appreciate this. Well, thank you, Rick. Yeah, they are fascinating ponderings because, listen, we're all on this trip, and at one point in time, your ticket's going to be called, you know? And I believe that the longer you're on this planet, and even if you're not that long, but if you can grasp these ideas and then begin to incorporate that into the fabric of your consciousness, that when you do die and you do make that transition, you carry that with you. I mean, how would you then mix in with, let's say, a huge group that was singly focused on this one other thing over here? You would be rejected. I think that's how it works. So, thin greeting. Much love right back at y'all. So, manifesting Annie, I love that. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And it's very kind of you. Anyway, Jeanette, I see that. All right, folks, much love to you. You know, love is all we need. It's just the question of then what is love? Is love an emotion? Is love a force? No. All I know is that I need a lot more of it. So do you. All right, folks. See y'all tomorrow, and enjoy the rest of the day and wherever you're at. So, and happy birthday, Nina. We'll see you on Wednesday for your